All right, let's get right into it. Deep inside the oil and gas industry, there's this hidden battle playing out. And no, it's not over oil fields or pipelines. It's a digital conflict, a clash between two totally different worlds. And honestly, the future of our energy infrastructure is hanging in the balance. So take a look at this. This diagram pretty much lays out the entire battleground for us. On one side, you've got information technology, IT. That's the corporate world. And on the other, you've got operational technology, OT, the industrial world. For decades, they've lived in separate universes, but now they're being forced to connect. And that gap you see in the middle, that's not just empty space, that's the danger zone.
To really get a handle on this, we've got to meet the two main players in our little drama. Now, they work for the same company, sure, but they come from completely different worlds, and you'll see they have almost opposite goals.
Okay, first up, IT. These are the folks managing the business side of things. We're talking servers, data, your email, all that corporate software. Their world is all about information, and it moves fast. It's constantly changing, with new updates all the time. The name of the game for them? Cost efficiency and keeping data safe.
And then we have OT. And folks, this is a whole different animal. OT is what controls the physical world, the actual pumps, the valves, the giant machinery in a refinery. Their systems are built for one thing above all else: rock-solid stability and physical safety. For them, uptime is everything, and change is the enemy. These systems might not get touched for decades.
And this is where the conflict really begins. You know, when you have two teams with fundamentally opposed views on the world trying to work together, you get what we call the Great Digital Divide. And here it is, the heart of the problem laid out side by side. IT lives for change, new security patches, software updates, constant improvement. But for the OT team, every single one of those changes is a potential risk. A risk to safety, a risk to production. Think about it. An absolutely essential security update for IT could be seen by OT as a reckless move that might shut down a multi-million-dollar-a-day operation. This image just perfectly sums it up. You've got the front office, clean, data-driven, corporate, and then you have the factory floor, heavy, physical, running 24/7. They don't just have different jobs, they have fundamentally different mindsets, different cultures. But here's the thing, this divide, this separation, it just can't last. The modern world, with its push for the industrial Internet of Things, is forcing these two worlds to collide. So the only question left is whether the result is going to be a smooth, productive convergence or a catastrophic consequence. You see, historically, the security plan for OT was incredibly simple. Just keep it disconnected. They called it an air gap. And that meant there was literally no physical wire connecting the plant's control systems to the outside internet. And it makes sense, right? If you can't be reached, you can't be hacked. The problem is, so much of this industry is running on what are called brownfield sites. Now, this is a really key term. It basically means the facilities and all the gear are old. We're talking 30 years or more. They were built long before anyone was even thinking about things like cybersecurity or connecting to the internet. So let me put that a little more bluntly. We are taking dumb equipment with zero built-in security features, running on ancient software, and for the first time in history, we're plugging it directly into the global internet. I mean, you can probably see where this is going, right? What this does is create a massive expansion of the attack surface. And that's just a fancy way of saying every single possible point a hacker could use to get in. All this old equipment that was once safely hidden away from the world is now suddenly visible and totally vulnerable to anyone on the internet, anywhere on the planet. So that's the problem. And yeah, it's a big one. But it is solvable. The solution is all about building a bridge between IT and OT. And that bridge has to be made of both new technology and a new way of thinking for the people involved. Okay, on the technology side, a solid bridge really has three main pillars. First, you have to move to open plug-and-play systems. This is so critical because it breaks that old model where you were locked into one vendor's expensive proprietary tech. Second, you blanket the sites with inexpensive wireless. I mean, trying to run new cables through a 30-year-old plant is a logistical nightmare. Wireless makes it possible. And third, you integrate with the cloud. This creates this neutral common ground where both IT and OT data can finally come together and be analyzed as a whole. But, and this is a huge but, even if you have the most perfect technology on Earth, you will still fail if you ignore the human element. The single biggest mistake companies make is keeping IT and OT walled off in their own organizational silos. See, IT usually reports to the chief information officer, while OT reports to the chief operating officer. They have different bosses, different budgets, and totally competing priorities. This old school structure is the number one thing that blocks progress. So what's the answer? You have to smash those silos. You create a brand new, dedicated, cross-functional team. And it's not just about getting everyone in a room together. It's a strategic mix. You absolutely need the IT specialists who live and breathe cybersecurity. You need the OT specialists who know that industrial equipment inside and out. And crucially, this is the one people forget. You need the business users, the folks on the front lines who know how things actually work day to day. And finally, you bring in the digital technologists who can offer fresh ideas on AI and emerging tech. That mix, right there, that's the formula for success. All right, now let's focus on the most urgent piece of this entire puzzle, security. Because when you connect the digital world to the physical world, the risks are no longer just about losing data. They're about real, tangible, physical consequences.
So you gotta ask, what's the actual real-world risk here? What really happens if a hacker gets control of one of these newly connected operational systems? What's the worst-case scenario? And I want to be clear, this is not science fiction. A hacker could compromise a single sensor and make it lie to the control system. It could tell the system a tank is empty when in reality it's completely full. The system, just doing what it's told, then opens a valve to fill it up, causing a massive overflow. And that could lead to a devastating environmental spill, a fire, or even a deadly explosion. The stakes are physical, and they are incredibly high.
And these systems, they are just terrifyingly vulnerable. Many of them have passwords that were hard-coded at the factory 30 years ago and can literally never be changed. They often lack the basic memory or processing power to run modern encryption. And if something does go wrong, a lot of the time, there's no formal help desk process to even log the incident. All while automated hacker bots are constantly scanning the internet and can find these newly connected systems in just a matter of minutes. Which brings us to really the most important takeaway of this whole thing. Bringing IT and OT together isn't just some nice-to-have tech upgrade. It is a strategic imperative. It's absolutely fundamental for making these critical industries resilient enough to handle new threats and innovative enough to build the future. And this all leaves us with one last big question. And this one goes way beyond just the oil and gas industry. We are connecting everything. Our cars, our homes, our factories. The technology is already connecting all the devices. The real question is, are we connecting our people and our organizations fast enough to manage it all safely?